will never forget that gruesome feeling of losing all of my hair overnight. I woke up that morning, my pillow was all covered in hair. My hair. Frightened, I started touching my head only to feel nothing. I ran to the bathroom, stumbling over the chair and the bed leg. I could never describe in words the extreme horror when I saw my image in the bathroom mirror. I stood there, motionless, not recognizing the man I was looking at. Only a few strands of hair on the sides of my head, pale, dark circles under my eyes, an empty look of disbelief. I looked at least 20 years older. And, for the love of God, I would have never thought that I'd live the day when I would go completely bald while sleeping. But, you see, despite how terrifying that experience was, now I'm actually glad and grateful this happened to me. Because it was exactly that moment that gave me the strength and set me on an incredible journey, which eventually led me to discover what really triggers hair loss, and find a simple yet highly efficient formula that would help more than 94,000 men and women all over the world have the full head of strong, healthy hair they have always wanted. Hi, my name is William Anderson, and in this presentation that follows, I'm going to show you how I went from this to this, without any dangerous prescription drugs or painful and expensive hair transplants. I'll also show you how you can use the exact same 100% natural hair restoration formula I did to experience a thicker, fuller, and healthier head of hair in a few short weeks starting today, no matter if you're a man, a woman, 30, 40, or 70 years old. Plus, in the next 5 minutes, you'll also discover the incredibly strange reason why most bodybuilders become bald in their 30s, and why it's important for you to know this. The simple ritual used by a Russian woman diagnosed with female pattern baldness in her teenage years to fight the disease and grow her hair below her waist, becoming the Russian Rapunzel and a hair model for one of the most famous hair care companies in the world. How researchers finally shed light on an age-long mystery: why 99% of the Japanese men and women never seem to lose their hair, even though they have the baldness gene like the rest of us. The unbelievable reason that is causing people to lose their hair since their early 20s, and how this toxic daily habit may accelerate hair loss by 230%, making you lose more than 400 hair strands daily. How one specific particle is responsible for your hair loss, and how you can easily block it, while giving you lush, thick, full hair. And that the root cause of all male and female hair loss is not aging, genetics, or really anything else you've ever heard of before. But according to a revolutionary new study coming from the University of Rochester Medical Center, a bizarre steroid your body is producing inside of you this very second. A steroid that is not only responsible for your hair loss, but which could put virtually every man with a bald spot at severe risk for benign prostatic hyperplasia, and every woman at high risk of polycystic ovarian syndrome, weight gain, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and other dangerous health conditions. And what you must really know is that at this very moment, this dangerous steroid floats through your bloodstream like a lethal dose of poison, eventually reaching your hair follicles and destroying them right at the source, so that they can never produce more hair again. So, if you've ever felt embarrassed, frustrated, or even a little bit depressed by your bald spot, no matter how big or tiny it is, then it's vital that you stick with me for the next 5 minutes, because the following presentation will change your life. By the time you've finished watching this video, you will not only regain the full head of hair you had when you were a kid, but you will regain the confidence that comes from once again being a complete, vital man or woman. In fact, that's exactly what happened to more than 94,992 other men and women just like you. People who use the natural and inexpensive hair restoration formula inside this presentation to eliminate the hair-destroying steroid that's also inside your body right now, and to grow a noticeably fuller and healthier head of hair without any painful and expensive medical hair procedures in just a few short weeks. People like Carl Landon of Atmore, Alabama, Nick Kent of Salem, Massachusetts, Daniel Caladeras of Flagstaff, Arizona, and Lorraine Denton of Evanston, Wyoming. Now, if you're anything like me, you're less about hype and more about cold hard facts. So let me go ahead and cut to the chase by telling you exactly what this natural hair restoration method is, why it's been scientifically proven to work, and what makes it dramatically different from anything else you've ever seen or heard. Like I mentioned before, my name is William Anderson. I'm 57 years old, and I live just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. For me, pattern baldness struck early. By my mid-20s, I had an embarrassing bald spot starting to show, which my friends loved to tease me about. And by the time I reached my mid-30s, that small bald spot had spread to form a shining crater across most of my head, so that the only hair I had left was a small ring of hair around the outside of my head. Perhaps the most frustrating part of this was that I wasn't a bad-looking guy if you took away the bald spot. For example, if I wore a baseball cap when I left the house and women couldn't see my bald spot, they would flirt and smile at me and treat me like any other normal guy. But at social events or dates at nice restaurants, when I couldn't wear my ball cap, everything changed. Women would be nice to me, but they certainly didn't flirt or show any attraction. But how could I blame them? If I were in their shoes, I'm sorry to admit this, but I would not be attracted to a balding woman either. And besides all this, guys who were just a few years younger than me would call me sir. The whole world seemed to react differently to me because I didn't have a full head of hair. In my 40s, things started to get really bad. That's me again in the picture you're seeing on the screen. My hideous bald spot would make people on the street stare at me as if I were some kind of freak. They were disgusted by my looks, as if I were a monster or had some kind of contagious disease that they were afraid they would get too if they would accidentally touch me. Women would just turn their heads away, avoiding making eye contact with me when I was passing by. Not to mention that all my dating attempts ended in, "I'll call you back," coming from each and every one of those women. But of course, not a single one of them ever called back, crushing my self-confidence. One time, I was in the subway and a pregnant woman offered me her seat, confusing me for an old man, telling me, "Please sir, you need this seat more than I do." Imagine how embarrassed we both were when she realized that I was just bald and not old and in need of her pity. This was madness. I had to do something to stop this, which is why I finally started looking into hair loss products and decided to use Rogaine. I used it twice a day, every day as prescribed. And I waited 4 long months, which is how long the company said it takes to work. By the end of month 4, however, the results were pretty disappointing. It seemed like more hair was growing on my forehead, which was certainly not what I wanted, than on my actual bald spot. Plus, not only were the side effects starting to drive me nuts, with my scalp constantly red and rashy, and my head feeling like it was on fire. The Rogaine also cost me $40 per month to use, which meant I'd spent a full $160 before I'd even started to see a single new hair. As I did the math, I realized that worked out to $480 per year I'd need to spend on a hair treatment that was hardly even working. And as I did more research on the Rogaine website, I also found out that if you stop using it, all of the hair you've grown will completely fall out in 3 to 4 months, which meant I'd need to be using their foam or gel forever and pay them about $5,000 over the coming decade just to have a few more hairs on my head. Frustrated, I began looking at other Rogaine alternatives, things like Propecia and the generic minoxidil, but they all had the same issues. They were expensive, ineffective, had major side effects, and you had to use them for the rest of your life. So I said forget this and started looking into getting a hair transplant. I'd been hearing ads for these on my local sports radio station, and it sounded like the treatment was pretty legit. As soon as I realized what was actually involved in a hair transplant, however, I became nauseated at the thought of undergoing the surgery. I'm not sure if you realize this, but in a hair transplant, the surgeon plucks thousands of hairs from the back of your head, one by one, and then drills tiny holes under your bald area where he puts these hairs. One transplant session takes at least 6 hours. It is painful, and you need around 4 such long sessions. Besides that, it will take at least 1 year to fully heal after such a procedure. Oh, right. Then there's the fact that the average hair transplant procedure costs around $9,500 and gives you headaches for months. And because it's a cosmetic procedure, your insurance usually doesn't cover it. But do you want to hear the saddest part? Nobody can guarantee that this painful and expensive procedure will even work for you. For some people, all the transplanted hairs will fall out because the skin will reject them. So would you pay $10,000 for a painful hair transplant procedure that might not even work for you? I wouldn't either. That is why I decided to just give up on hair restoration. I figured that Rogaine simply wasn't going to do enough for me to outweigh the irritation and side effects. And hair transplant was both expensive and terrifying. So, this is when I started looking into low-level laser therapy. Low-dose laser treatments invigorate circulation and stimulation, encouraging hair follicles to grow hair. It sounded like a safe, non-invasive, and quick method, but then I looked into some reviews from people who have tried the procedure, and I was left speechless. It seems that the results of laser therapy are also highly inconsistent, and on top of that, medical devices such as laser therapy machines do not go through the same level of FDA testing and scrutiny that medicines do before being approved. This means that the long-term safety and effectiveness of laser therapy have not been established. Besides, this procedure costs anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 or more per year, and no success is guaranteed. So for me, laser therapy was out of the question too. I was heartbroken. What was I supposed to do? Just accept my baldness and try to ignore how ugly I felt? How little confidence I had? How much older I looked? And how the opposite sex more or less ignored me because of it? That's where my story would have ended if something really horrifying hadn't happened. And I'll tell you what that was right now. Because as you'll see in a second, it was actually the key to the natural hair restoration method I eventually discovered. I still remember that morning as if it was yesterday, the morning that changed my life. As I told you, I've been battling hair loss since my 20s. I was accustomed to see a few hairs on my pillow every morning, but since my father or grandfather were not bald, this did not trigger any alarm for me. In my mid-20s, I noticed that a bald spot was starting to show. I thought that it was because of the daily stress factors and the fact that I was not eating that healthy, and that hair will grow back if I eliminated those harmful factors. So again, I ignored the signs. And in my late 30s, things became really bad, very fast. My hair started to fall out like crazy, and this time, I was sure that I was a victim of baldness. This is when I started using Rogaine, but, as I mentioned, with no real long-term effects. But that morning, my whole world turned upside down. The entire pillow was covered in hair, leaving me only with a few hairs on the sides of my head. I ran to the bathroom, praying to God that this was just a bad dream. But as soon as I looked in the mirror, my heart stopped. I didn't recognize the man I was looking at. An old, bald man with wrinkled skin on my head. I could easily take him for a 70-year-old man. I looked almost 20 years older in a blink of an eye. I never thought that my hair loss would get to this point so fast. In 30 years, I've lost almost half of my hair, and now, in just one night, the rest of it? It seemed unbelievable. I was still hoping to wake up from this nightmare. I could not understand what has sped the hair loss process so much. Was it the Rogaine? Was it something in my daily routine? I had so many questions I had to find the answers to. But I didn't have time for this right now. To make things even worse, the next day, I was supposed to attend my niece's baptism. And although my ex-wife was the last person on earth I wanted to see, I couldn't let down my beautiful daughter, Emily. But how could I do that when I was looking as if I had weeks of chemo and lost all of my hair? I could vividly picture the horror and disgust on everyone's faces and how it would just ruin such a special moment. I started looking online for wigs, but no one would deliver it so fast. I was devastated. I had to lie to my daughter and tell her I had to leave town with a work business that could not be postponed. I had to straight up lie to my daughter, who bursted into tears, telling me that I will leave her alone in one of our family's most important life events. She said she'll never speak to me again, but I couldn't tell her the truth. I was devastated. I had to lie to myself my entire life, and now I was lying to my family. My hair loss ruined my life, and now it was hurting the ones around me too. This madness had to stop. And, as you will see, I found the answer in the place I expected the least. You see, a month later, I was at my doctor's office for my dreaded annual prostate exam. The truth is that, lately, I'd found out I needed to go to the bathroom more often. So, it was no surprise when the doctor confirmed that I had an enlarged prostate. But what did surprise me was what my doctor said was causing my enlarged prostate. He said that a steroid called DHT is usually responsible for the growth of prostate cells. I'd never heard of DHT before, but my doctor said it comes from testosterone, and that as we get older, our bodies convert more and more of our testosterone into this steroid. Dr. Blount also mentioned that DHT affects women just as often as it does men, which I thought was really interesting. He said that's because ovaries produce a surprisingly large amount of testosterone. And, just like men, as women age, their bodies convert more and more of their testosterone into DHT. But, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, my doctor said, the point is that high levels of DHT are not good. In men, DHT can be a major cause of severe prostate inflammation and lower testosterone levels. While in women, DHT throws the body out of hormonal balance and causes mood swings, depression, even hot flashes, and even polycystic ovaries. Now, this was all shocking enough to me because I had never heard of this destructive DHT steroid before. But what my doctor said next absolutely shocked me. And it's something you should pay close attention to because it's key to why you've been losing your hair and how you can naturally fight this process. You see, my doctor briefly mentioned that virtually all scientists now believe DHT to be the overwhelming cause of all hair loss. And when I asked my doctor why, he just said, well, it gets into your hair follicles and basically kills them. There's actually a ton of research coming out about this now, and if you're really interested, you can probably find some good info online. Well, I certainly was interested, and so the first thing I did was jump on my computer and begin investigating the link between DHT and hair loss. The amount of studies and research I found was pretty staggering. A Harvard University study I found confirmed the link between DHT and both male pattern hair loss and enlarged prostate. A paper from researchers at George Washington University backed the Harvard study up. Another paper published in the International Journal of Women's Health also attributed DHT to female pattern hair loss. And so did additional papers from the University of Pennsylvania's Perelman School of Medicine and the Columbia University Medical Center. It made my pulse race as I thought about what this might mean. I thought to myself, if this one thing called DHT is what's responsible for virtually all hair loss, can I just stop it somehow and stop my hair loss from happening too? So I began to spend every waking hour I could in front of my computer researching how DHT works, exactly why it causes hair loss, and how I could stop this dangerous steroid so I could not only combat the effects of balding, but also help men to prevent painful, emasculating prostate inflammation and women dangerous hormonal imbalances and polycystic ovaries. Ultimately, this research is what would bring me to the easy-to-follow, natural, and inexpensive hair restoration method I'm going to share with you today. And I'll go ahead and explain everything to you right now. But the first thing you need to understand is what DHT is and why it causes hair loss. DHT, also known as dihydrotestosterone, is what's called an androgen steroid hormone, and it's found inside your body. Specifically, DHT is made when testosterone is metabolized in the testicles and prostate in men, the ovaries in women, the skin, and other parts of the body. In other words, DHT is what happens when the body takes normal testosterone and then turns it into this steroid hormone. Now, having a little DHT in your body is okay, but as you get older, your body begins to transform more and more of your testosterone into this steroid. Not only does that lead to lower testosterone levels and the weight loss, lower sex drive, constant fatigue, and hormonal imbalance that goes along with it, and an enlarged prostate gland, which can turn into a life-threatening disease. But it also leads to rapidly accelerating hair loss. Here's why. Usually, you grow and keep every single new hair on your head for a period of between 3 and 6 years. And once each of the hairs on your scalp reaches the end of the growth cycle, it falls out and is replaced by a new, healthier hair. As more and more DHT enters your bloodstream, however, this poisonous steroid begins to make its way inside the papilla, the part of your hair follicle responsible for growing new hair. The DHT then clogs up the papilla, blocking it from growing new hair, and also makes the hair fall out faster. So, when old hairs fall out, there aren't any new hairs to replace them. Over time, this leads to balding. And it's also why your bald spot continues to grow. Because as more and more hairs begin to shed without being replaced, more and more of your scalp becomes visible, and your bald spot increases in size. Makes sense, right? Your body produces more DHT as you get older. DHT stops new hairs from growing, so when the hair you have on your head falls out, there's nothing to replace it with. And as a result, you go increasingly bald. And like I mentioned already, everything I've just shared with you is backed up by high-level scientific research from some of the most prestigious universities and medical associations in the world. But what did speed up the process so much, making me lose the rest of my hair in just one night? Knowing the entire process of testosterone DHT process and how this leads to gradual hair loss made me wonder, why did I lose my hair in just one night? What did I do wrong? Or what did I not do? What changed, speeding up the whole process? I kept reading more and more studies on the testosterone DHT connection, and I found out that the more testosterone you have, the more of it's converted to DHT. Normally, only 10% of testosterone is converted into DHT. So it's only logical that this percentage increases together with the testosterone level. But what can boost the T levels so much and so fast? I was left speechless when I read some of the most common factors that can boost T levels overnight. It seems that vitamin D, one of the most critical vitamins in the human body, increases T levels. If you are on a vitamin D supplement and you have taken more than prescribed, you might be too at risk of dangerously high testosterone levels. Another factor boosting the T levels is weightlifting, which stimulates testosterone production. That explains why most bodybuilders are bald. I've been going to the gym lately thinking that if I am losing my hair, at least I can compensate with a toned body. I was appalled when I read that caffeine and stress are also strong T boosting factors too. Lately, I've been drinking 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day so I could cope with the challenging work projects. So, lots of coffee and stress for me. As you can see, I've been doing all the things that increase T levels and therefore DHT levels. But then I thought, could this be it? Could such common factors really cause my sudden hair loss? I continued to look for more factors that could make one lose so much hair overnight, and I stumbled upon this study. Acute alopecia, evidence to thallium poisoning. What on earth is this? I kept reading. My eyes became wider and wider. It seems that thallium is an extremely toxic heavy metal, which is released into the environment during the coal burning and smelting processes. Unfortunately, thallium is still widely used by many industries these days, such as medical imaging, electronics, and optical manufacturing, to name a few. With such a massive use of thallium in industry, more and more of these poisonous chemicals are released into the air, earth, and water. where it stays for a very long time, being absorbed by plants, fish, and basically everything that you eat. Traces of thallium could be in the very air you are breathing right now, in the cereals that you eat each morning, in the water you drink each day, and you could not even realize it. The study mentioned a 15-year-old girl who was referred to the ER with abdominal pain, fever, disorientation, burning sensation, and weakness in her legs. The doctors could not pinpoint a specific culprit until the 4th day, when her hair started to fall out in clusters of more than 40 hairs. By the 5th day, she was total alopecic. The diagnostic was thallium poisoning, and the blood test confirmed it. The thought that anyone could become poisoned with thallium and lose their hair in one night, as I did, sent cold shivers down my spine. This information answered some of my questions, but it led to even larger and more important ones. How do you stop your body from turning testosterone into DHT? How do you fight the hair loss process? How do you make sure there is no trace of thallium in your body? All these questions made my head spin. I didn't even know where to start from. But what I realized was that if I could stop this testosterone DHT process, then I could also stop hair loss and even begin to grow new healthy hairs again. And so I began poring over literally thousands of scientific studies, journal articles, and published research findings. It was actually pretty slow going at first because while there were dozens of studies on DHT and hair loss, there were far fewer about how to actually stop DHT from being produced in the first place. But finally, after more than 2 months of research, I began to notice a common culprit, something that seemed to be frequently mentioned in relation to DHT production, but that no one seemed to be targeting for a hair loss treatment. This culprit was an enzyme inside the body called 5-alpha reductase, which I like to abbreviate as 5AR for short. 5AR is the enzyme which turns testosterone into DHT. Just like a seed is turned into a plant with the help of water, testosterone is turned into DHT with the help of 5AR. And what I began noticing is that all the studies I was reading said 5AR was more or less the single cause of DHT production in your body, which meant that if I could stop my body from producing this destructive enzyme, then my body would no longer be turning my testosterone into DHT, and I'd be able to stop my balding. So I compiled all of the data and information I could find on 5AR. What I discovered was that both men and women produce this enzyme, and that as we age, the amount of 5AR in our bodies increases drastically, until it overwhelms our bodies and begins to corrupt our testosterone production. Now, that's the bad part, but here's the really good news. During my research, I also found that there were dozens of minerals, vegetables, herbs, and vitamins that had been shown to naturally inhibit the body's 5AR production, which made me think that if I were able to find the right combination of these 5AR blocking agents, then maybe I'd be able to treat my balding, not to mention my enlarged prostate, right at the source. As if God was sending me a confirmation that I was on the right path, I stumbled upon the amazing story of Anastasia Sidorova, who had been diagnosed with female pattern baldness in her teenage years and almost lost all of her hair. She not only managed to beat the disease, but now the beautiful 23-year-old, dubbed the Russian Rapunzel, has a luscious hair longer than 3.2 feet, which also brought her a contract with Pantene and 1 million followers on Instagram. How did she do it? She said that the first thing she worked on was her diet. Keeping a balanced diet rich in protein, omega-3, fatty acids, and vitamin A worked wonders on her frail hair. So I decided to make myself a human guinea pig. I bought every single one of the natural minerals, vegetables, herbs, and vitamins that had been shown to stop 5AR production. And I began testing different combinations of those items. While writing down what I was doing and how much of each supplement, vitamin, or food I was taking. For each combination, I generally allowed at least 4 weeks to see if I started growing hair. And for the first several months, there were absolutely no results whatsoever. But then, halfway into the 5th month, I noticed something funny when I looked in the mirror. The bald spot on my head did look a little smaller. Here's a picture from the first time I noticed that some of my hair appeared to be growing back. And here's another picture just 2 weeks after I first started noticing my hair growing back. What I saw was pretty encouraging, so I kept using that latest combination of natural foods, minerals, vitamins, and herbs to see what would happen. And from that point on, every day started to feel like Christmas. Each morning I would wake up, look in the mirror, and see an even fuller, healthier, and thicker head of hair on my scalp. Here's another pic of my progress. This one was taken 1 month after starting seeing my hair regrowing, and you can see how fast the hair growth was happening now. It was truly incredible, and the best part was that I was using only natural vitamins, minerals, plants, and veggies. In fact, when I visited Dr. Blount for our scheduled follow-up appointment 6 months later, the first thing he asked was if I'd gotten a hair transplant. I laughed and told him no, then shared the story of how I'd been researching DHT and 5-AR obsessively since our last exam, and how I'd finally found a precise group of natural vitamins, minerals, plants, and vegetables that, when combined together, appeared to be stopping 5-AR from turning my testosterone into the dangerous DHT steroid. Well, needless to say, my doctor was absolutely amazed by all of this, especially after he gave me another prostate exam and said he could no longer find any signs that it was enlarged. He then ran a blood test on me to check my testosterone levels and my DHT levels, and he was nearly speechless when the results he showed said that I had the testosterone of a 27-year-old, and that my body only had minimal amounts of DHT in it. "This is absolutely amazing, William," he said. "I've never seen anything like it." I was really proud of the success of my experiment, but the truth is that I was getting a little tired of eating the same foods and taking all those minerals. At some point, I was taking 12 pills a day. And all this was also seriously affecting my budget. Buying all these fresh organic ingredients and supplements was not cheap at all. Plus, the numerous trips to the stores where I could find these foods, which were miles away from my home, this got me thinking. Would it be possible to create a 100% natural supplement that can offer the same results I experienced? How could I bring all those potent ingredients into one small pill? My goal was to take just 1 or 2 pills a day and just watch the hair growing back, thicker, healthier, and faster than ever before. And all this without any effort, dangerous prescription pills, or expensive and invasive hair transplant. No more money spent on 12 different supplements, no more countless trips to the stores to buy fresh ingredients, no more eating a certain quantity of foods at certain times in the day. It seemed like a dream. Now, I knew my hair restoration formula was safe because all of the foods that I added to my diet were natural, and I had seen amazing results myself. But how could I, a simple man, bring to life this amazing idea I had? I definitely needed help. So I called Dr. Blount, the man who sent me on this discovery path in the first place, and told him about my idea. To my surprise and relief, he seemed really excited about this idea. He told me that when I came for the last visit, he wanted to ask for my approval to share the secret with some of his patients. But he changed his mind when I told him how many supplements and expensive ingredients I was taking. He realized that most of his patients could not afford buying all these. That is why he did not say anything. So, my doctor said he was on board, and that if we succeeded, millions of people could also benefit from this revolutionary product. Now, all we had to do was to find the minerals, vitamins, and herbs that I had used in their purest form, the most efficient formula, and test it until it delivered results 3 times faster than my hair restoration protocol. To my luck, my doctor had connections with top providers in the world, so we were able to source the plants and other ingredients we needed in their purest forms, from the last virgin forests in the world, such as the Daintree rainforest in Australia, to the most remote plantations in Asia. It took some time, but we managed to gather everything we needed for the supplement that was about to change the hair loss industry forever. But after months of research, countless sleepless nights, laboratory testing, a long process of trial and error, and close collaborations with the top scientists in the country, we managed to create an initial small batch of this miracle pill. And now, I can finally share the breakthrough secret of how this unique miracle mix works. But please be warned, all these plants, minerals, and powerful herbs are effective only in this formula, specifically adjusted and calculated to be 100% absorbed by your body. Here is a short step-by-step explanation of each one of these pure ingredients and how they work. Step 1. Help the body quickly absorb all the ingredients. All 20 ingredients added in this supplement were sourced from the purest locations and in the most effective forms, which means they are extremely bioavailable and easier for the body to absorb. This happens not just because they are extremely pure, but also because whenever our bodies detect that we give them something that is essential for our survival, they practically suck it up like a dry sponge. In almost a fraction of a second, they start to rapidly spread throughout your body like an army of highly trained soldiers. Step 2. Clear your body of DHT and other toxins. There are certain powerful natural ingredients that can clear out poisonous DHT accumulated in your blood throughout the years, and also the harmful toxins that were proved by scientists to be a culprit to hair loss, such as thallium. To clean your body from these harmful agents, we added the powerful reishi mushroom. We have conducted studies on more than 50 species of mushrooms to see if they were able to inhibit DHT. And without any doubt, reishi mushrooms proved the most successful, with an effective rate of 96%. Besides that, this mushroom will keep your scalp healthy and prevent your hair follicles from becoming clogged or blocked, giving your hair strands the best environment to grow. Reishi mushrooms have been used as a medicinal treatment for over 2,000 years in Eastern Asia, and today they are still often consumed in teas, tinctures, and extracts. With such a potent DHT blocker in their diets, no wonder the countries in Eastern Asia experience hair loss at one of the lowest rates in the world. Step 3. Inhibit the body's 5-AR production. Here's where 2 superstar ingredients enter into action. Turmeric, with main compound curcumin, and quercetin, the little soldier that fights off any inflammation, helping your body heal. What they do is block the action of 5-AR. Without 5-AR, there will be no agent to transform testosterone into DHT and prevent it from getting into your hair follicles and killing them. To make sure that our formula is extremely potent, we have used black turmeric, which can be found only in South India. Black turmeric is the country's best kept secret for centuries because it has the highest concentration of curcumin. Step 4. Keep testosterone within normal limits. As we age, the level of testosterone in our bodies begins to drop, typically about 1% a year after age 30, which is quite fast. A low level of testosterone can make men and women depressed, tired all the time, reduces your sex drive, and makes you lose muscle mass. To make sure that we keep those T levels in check, we added garlic powder. Studies have shown that garlic boosts testosterone, but do not run to the market and buy garlic just yet. If you think that you can boost your T levels by eating garlic, you're wrong. You would need to eat at least 20 ounces of garlic per day, which translates into a whole goddamn pile of freaking garlic. That is why we made sure that we added the perfect amount of garlic extract so that we can save you from that trouble. Step 5. Stimulate and speed up hair regrowth. Now that your body is clean of DHT and other toxins, and the 5-AR enzyme no longer transforms testosterone into DHT, you're ready to watch how your head hair grows thicker, healthier, and fuller day by day. The ingredient with this purpose is olive leaf extract. Olive leaves have more therapeutic properties than olives themselves, so it only made sense that we used olive leaves, taken right from the source, the Virgin Plains in Greece. thanks to its more than 200 potent active compounds, olive leaf extract supports strong hair follicles so that you will not worry about losing your hair while brushing or combing it. Promotes shinier, thicker, and smoother hair, which will make men and women on the street turn their heads and admire you. Strengthens and nourishes your hair so you can style it and dye it however you want without the fear of it becoming brittle and thin ever again. Soothes irritated skin so you can use any hair product you want without the risk of getting a skin rash. Combats dandruff, which means that you can wear dark clothes without the fear of having them covered in thousands of disgusting white flakes. As you can see, olive leaf extract was the perfect ingredient for this crucial task. Step 6. Bulletproof your body against hair loss. To make sure that you will never have to experience hair loss ever again, we had to add some ingredients that will bulletproof your scalp against this awful process. To accomplish this, we relied on the amazing benefits of tea, adding green tea from the sunny plains of Kyoto, Japan. By steaming the tea leaves, we managed to keep 94% of the plant's natural compounds called EGCG. EGCG is a compound that promotes skin health and protect hair follicles from hair loss caused by DHT. So imagine having thousands of these tiny soldiers protecting your hair follicles. To make this process invaluable, we also added Panax ginseng from far eastern Siberia. Clinical studies have shown that in people with alopecia areata, ginseng increases the number of hair strains by preventing the natural cell death and also stimulates the scalp, encouraging hair growth. Finally, after so much work, time, energy, and money spent, our perfect hair regeneration formula was ready. Dr. Blount was just as excited as I was. He said he will start sharing it with his patients the very next day. Within a month, the stories we were hearing from Dr. Blount's patients were incredible. Men and women alike who were suffering from baldness suddenly found that in just 4 weeks, they had a fuller and healthier head of hair than they had in decades. It didn't seem to matter where they were in their hair loss cycle either, or whether they just had small baby bald spots or shiny and barren scalps, or even if their hair loss seemed to be genetic and run in the family. In every single case, the hair grew back. Plus, Dr. Blount's male patients all found that their prostate was no longer enlarged, and that their testosterone levels were higher than they'd been previously. So, it didn't take very long for Dr. Blount to become convinced that what I discovered was a medical breakthrough, something that could not only treat all cases of pattern hair loss, but also fight off prostate inflammation and restore low testosterone levels to healthy levels. He started talking in all this extreme language, saying I had a moral duty to get my discovery out to the general public. And the more he badgered me about sharing my hair restoration protocol with others, the more I realized he was right. The only problem, I said, was the matter of how to actually get this natural hair growth method to the public. Dr. Blount's first idea was to present it to the experts at the medical school he'd attended. We actually had a meeting with the dean of one of the most prestigious medical research universities in the world, and during the meeting, Blount presented hundreds of case studies along with a detailed scientific analysis of why this treatment worked. It was an incredibly impressive and thorough presentation, and you can probably imagine just how shocked we were when the dean told us that even though all of the evidence and science that our method worked was airtight, he simply could not help us to publish it, and that he was positive no other university's science or doctor in the world would help us publish it either. I asked the dean, why the hell not? Well, what you've discovered is simply too powerful, and it does too much. Hair loss is a multi-billion-year industry, and low testosterone therapy is a multi-billion-year industry, he said. And as universities and medical departments all receive tens of billions of dollars in funding from drug manufacturers and pharmaceutical corporations each year, if I were to support or publish this, my medical department's funding would literally be cut off overnight. It's just too big of a risk, and I can't be involved. I'm sorry. How could someone who took an oath to help the needy and sick, refused to give them something that would improve their health so dramatically. I mean, yes, fuller and healthier head of hair and the confidence that goes with it is a huge part of this treatment protocol, especially when there were no side effects involved and results started happening in just 4 weeks. But even beyond that, men who use this simple formula could rapidly restore their prostate health, ultimately even preventing life-threatening diseases as a result. So I left our meeting with the medical school dean just frothing with anger, and I decided that instead of bowing to the bullying of some greedy pharmaceutical company, we would take the matter into our own hands. We decided to turn our incredible formula into a supplement in a small facility that was both FDA registered and GMP certified. Due to the lack of funds, we were only able to create a small batch and agreed to take the huge risk and sell it directly on the internet, where anyone who wanted it could have access to it. Dr. Blount and I decided to call it Restolin, the amazing 100% natural supplement that not only stops, but actually fights your hair loss problem in just 4 short weeks. The key to doing this is the vitamins, herbs, and minerals we sourced all over the world, from the purest plantations and remote small farms, all perfectly combined into the most powerful hair restoration formula. And all you have to do is take 2 pills with a glass of water each day and watch as day by day. Then add them to your diet in the right portions, which I'll give you instructions for doing inside the guide. Your bald spot starts diminishing until it will be replaced by thick, healthy hair, and you will be finally able to delete all of the excess 5-AR and DHT from your body, any trace of the toxic thallium, while growing back a full, healthy head of hair that lasts forever. Besides that, Restolin does more than just help you grow a healthy, full head of hair. It also reduces your swollen prostate and restores your testosterone to normal, healthy levels, which allow you to enjoy the increased sex drive, energy, and fat loss that goes along with this. But men aren't the only ones who will enjoy significant added benefits from this hair restoration program. Women who use this program, Restolin, often report that they not only notice an immediate increase in hair health and volume, but they also feel much more calm, attractive, and happy, which happens because of the hormonal balance that occurs when DHT levels go down. To date, more than 94,900 men and women just like you have already used Restolin to experience a dramatically fuller head of hair in just 4 weeks. Check out this before and after from Jason Kepler of Long Island, New York, and Vince Delson of St. George, Utah, or this one from Nancy Gravel of Oxford, Mississippi. I could not describe how miserable I felt when my beautiful black hair started falling in clusters of hairs. I was only 30 years old, and I had just given birth to my second daughter. So I thought this was just due to the hormonal changes, but it wasn't. My hair continued to fall until I started using scarves and head wraps to cover my ugly hair and bald patches. My salvation came from a friend of mine who was recommended Restolin, telling me it saved her. Well, to be honest, it did more than save me. Now I can walk proudly, confident on my beautiful, luscious hair. Or Jordan Fowler of Crystal Creek, Georgia, who recently wrote to say, "All I can say is wow. When I first saw your video, I thought there was no way it could possibly work. I've been pretty much bald my entire life, and I've tried Rogaine, Propecia, and pretty much any other hair product you can imagine. The only reason I even gave Restolin a shot was because the science behind your formula made so much sense, and man, am I glad I did." So, when you stop to consider all of this, it should be pretty clear why there is nothing like Restolin in existence, and why initially Dr. Blount and I had considered charging $369 for this revolutionary hair restoration breakthrough. I mean, until now, men and women who wanted to fight their baldness either had to become dependent on hair loss medications like Rogaine or Propecia, which not only take 4 full months to start working, but also cause all kinds of unwanted side effects like hair growth on your forehead, rashes on your scalp, and even nausea. Plus, those hair restoration drugs have been designed so that you have to use them forever, or your new hair falls right back out. Which means that at $40 per month, you'll be spending $480 per year on Rogaine or Propecia for the rest of your life. Then again, those medications are nothing compared to a hair transplant, which typically runs you about $9,800 and involves a surgeon slowly slicing and peeling inches of your forehead off with a knife. I don't know about you, but is that something you really want to experience? Restolin has been scientifically proven to finally eliminate even the worst bald spots and restore natural hair growth in just a few short weeks. So given all of that, it should be pretty easy to see why we think $369 from Restolin is the ultimate bargain. Except here's the thing. This isn't about money for me. It's about helping as many men and women as possible to regain their confidence, their beauty, and ultimately their health. And as I thought about it and realized that not only does this supplement rapidly give people back their full heads of hair, but that it can also save the lives of countless men by virtually eliminating the risk of enlarged prostate, I realized there were just no way I could live with myself if my own greed stopped people from avoiding such a deadly disease. Which is why I'm not going to ask you to pay $369 or $269 or $169, because my conscience simply won't allow it. Instead, and only if you act today through this special website you're now on, you'll be able to get a 30-day supply of Restolin for the small, one-time investment of just $69. That's right, just $69. You'll then go to the secure checkout page that Dr. Blount and I have created, where you'll enter your basic order information. And before you know it, Restolin will be delivered straight to your door. But before you order, you should know that the test I did together with Dr. Blount showed that the results of Restolin last for years if you take at least 6 bottles of the supplement. Yes, 1 bottle of Restolin would block the 5-AR enzyme and restore your hair, giving you the full, thick, healthy hair you deserve. 3 bottles might help you enjoy normal testosterone levels and clear your body of the residual DHT and any traces of the thallium, the toxic alopecia trigger chemical. But only 6 bottles of Restolin will offer you lifetime protection against hair loss, allow you to enjoy increased sex drive, energy, and even weight loss, while making you feel calm, confident, and happy. This is your new beginning. So, you know what? I know how it is to have a life controlled by hair loss, to hide yourself, to try countless methods with no results. To live with the fear that any day you can wake up only to see that you have lost your entire hair overnight. And because I want you to have the healthy and thick hair you deserve, and walk proudly on the street without feeling ashamed, laughed at, or a victim of stupid jokes. But also because we live in challenging times and we have to spend our money wisely. I'm going to make the deal even sweeter. So, I have set up a discounted package system of 6 bottles of Restolin for you for only $49 a bottle, plus free shipping. Think about it. All that's standing between you and the confidence of a fully healthy head of hair, plus balanced hormones and increased testosterone that goes with it, is the click of a button. To wash away any trace of doubt that you might have, I offer you a full 60 days money-back guarantee. The 60 days money-back guarantee gives you the option to return the bottles of Restolin within the first 60 days from your purchase. So, you have 2 months to test Restolin, and if by this time you don't see the results you expected, you can simply return the bottles to us. It doesn't matter if you used up the entire supplement. You still have your money safely returned to your account. No hidden fees or subscriptions, just a safe and secure one-time simple payment. I am taking all the risk here, and you know what? I'm happy to do it. I want you to feel as safe as possible with this purchase and really understand that we want Restolin to change your life too, as it happened to me and to 94,900 other people. But we do need to warn you. If you're ready to make the best choice of your life, you really do need to act quickly. As I mentioned earlier, the hair loss drug manufacturers are outraged that we've put this product on the web. And every single day, we're getting threatening phone calls from their attorneys, where they say they will sue the living daylight out of us if we don't shut this site down. We've told their lawyers they don't have any grounds whatsoever for legal action, but they just laugh in our faces. They tell us it will cost us millions of dollars to fight them, and they know we don't have that kind of money. And as much as it hurts to admit, they're right. Which means whenever we do get slapped with that first real legal action from the pharmaceutical tyrants, we'll have no choice but to take this page down. We hope it doesn't come to that, but we can't make any promises. So, if you return in a week and find that you can no longer access this page, there simply won't be anything we can do for you. Don't take that chance though, especially when you can have unrestricted access to Restolin within the next 30 seconds. The choice is yours, but this presentation is finishing and you'll need to go ahead and make your decision now. Your first option is to just let this presentation finish and then just close this page. That's certainly your right, and neither Dr. Blount nor I will harbor any ill feelings if that's what you do. But before you leave this page, take a moment to answer this question. If not Restolin, what will you use to restore your lost hair and eliminate your bald spot? Will you keep spending hundreds of dollars a year on Rogaine or shell out $10,000 for a cosmetic hair transplant? Or just accept the bald spot on your head and try to ignore it whenever you look in the mirror? Or blame it on genetics, or just start being that guy who always wears a baseball cap? You could choose to do any of the above, but why would you? It seems to me like the decision is pretty clear-cut here. Simply click the yellow button that you see below and get your instant risk-free access to the Rebuild Hair program right now. In the next 4 weeks, you'll see a fuller and healthier head of hair than you have had in decades. You'll sleep soundly at night knowing you've dramatically reduced your risk of losing your hair overnight. You'll bring your hormones into balance, and you'll find that your mood, energy, and sex drive are all significantly improved. And you'll do it all using nothing but an ingenious combination of natural vitamins, minerals, and plants. The decision is yours, but I think you know exactly what you need to do. Sincerely, William Anderson and Dr. Blount. Hey, you still here? I bet you have some questions, right? That's totally cool. A lot of folks actually do after this presentation. What I found is that after I answer those most common questions, people feel a lot more comfortable making their risk-free investment in Restolin. So let me go ahead and clear things up for you right now, so you completely understand what you'll be getting once you start using the treatment. 1. What makes Restolin different from Rogaine, Propecia, or other hair restoration drugs? Well, first of all, Restolin is only made from 100% natural ingredients that we struggled to obtain directly from their natural habitat, no matter how hard or costly that was. That is why this product has 0 weird side effects. It can be safely used by anyone, no matter how advanced their hair loss is, and no matter if they suffer from other conditions. The reason something so simple like this works, while hair loss drugs don't, however, has to do with the minerals, vitamins, and plants you're given inside. Each of these items has been shown to destroy 5-AR, which is the enzyme that causes DHT to be made in your body. As we get older, the amount of this DHT inside you continues to increase, and eventually it invades your bloodstream and enters your hair follicles, clogging them up at the root. Once that DHT is in your hair follicles, you can no longer grow new hair. So when your hair falls out, there's no new hair to replace it. That's what makes you bald. Another way DHT hurts you is by causing cell growth in your prostate. This leads to an enlarged prostate and other life-threatening diseases. Additionally, DHT lowers your testosterone levels and causes hormonal imbalances in women. So, what makes Restolin so powerful and so different is that it stops DHT production at the source by killing the 5-AR that's in your body. Rogaine, Propecia, or any other hair loss drugs don't do anything like this whatsoever. They just take a band-aid approach and they give you temporary hair growth that stops when you stop using their drugs. 2. What about a hair transplant? Wouldn't that give me hair even faster than Restolin? Yes, it would, but there are some important things to remember. First of all, there's the fact that hair transplants cost about $10,000 and they typically aren't covered by insurance. Second, during the procedure, the surgeon actually takes a knife and painfully slices off several inches of your scalp, then sews your head back together like a Frankenstein. Finally, this procedure doesn't actually fix the underlying cause of your hair loss. Instead, you're basically stapling already dead hairs onto your scalp and hoping they stay put. And in my opinion, why would you choose this option when you could naturally fix the underlying cause of your hair loss in just 4 weeks? 3. Okay, what else can Restolin do for me? Besides the fact that Restolin will help you finally delete all of the excess 5-AR and DHT and any traces of thallium from your body, while growing back a full, healthy head of hair that lasts forever, it also helps men to reduce their swollen prostate and restores testosterone to normal, healthy levels, while allowing women to balance their hormones and experience fewer mood swings and a greater sense of calm and well-being. 4. And can you just review that guarantee you mentioned for me again? How did that work? Sure, check this out. You simply say maybe to Restolin right now by clicking the yellow button you see below. You're then given a full 2 months to use the supplement so you can judge for yourself if it's as powerful as I say it is. If you're not satisfied for any reason, you just send me an email and I'll refund your entire investment. 5. Okay, I want to try this out. What now? Just click on the package that best fits your needs. Once you do that, your Restolin supplement will be shipped to your door in no time. So you can start your amazing hair restoration journey as soon as possible. I am so glad that you found this product, and I really hope that you will be as happy as me and 94,900 other men and women for whom hair loss is now just a bad memory.